Alright, so in this video we're going to be making this in Cinema 4D and After Effects. So let's go ahead and create a new project. And for this one we're going to be using a square format as well. So it's going to be 1080 by 1080 with 30 frames per second. So we're going to go to File, New, and then make a new Cinema 4D file. And then just name this. So for this project, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go over to Velveteen Fonts and we're gonna grab this typeface. It's an open source typeface called Hyperscript. Then you can use this tool here to convert the image that you choose from pixels to centimeters. And then here, Unsplash is where you'll get your image. On Unsplash, you can look at stock photography. And for this one, we're going to look at clouds. And the cloud that I'm going to be choosing is going to be this one. So the file that I have is 6,000 pixels by 4,000 pixels. So if we go back into Cinema 4D, we can go and make a plane. And then the width, if we change that to centimeters, it's going to be 150.75. And then the height is going to be 105.83. And now that we have that built, the easiest way to get our picture into the plane is just to drag and drop it. So once we have that, we can start building the text. So if you head over to this tool here and then select text, you'll see that it automatically controls the text from the left. However, we can switch this over to middle and that will control it from the middle. And then here you can type in your text. I'm just gonna type in today's date, 01, and then you can switch over to Hyperscript, the font that we downloaded, and then the height is gonna affect the font size, so we can set this over to 7 to make it a little bit more in scale with the image. And then before we start making our composition, we should change the render settings to match the Cinema 4D file. So 1080 by 1080. And then the anti-aliasing, we should switch over to best to get a much cleaner image in the render. So now that we have the text built, we can head over and do an extrude and then drag the text underneath the extrude. And then here you can see that it's starting to look more like a 3D object, but it's way too long, so let's fix that. If we go into extrude and the offset, you can switch how much that extrudes. So I'm thinking about 5 looks pretty good. Now what you want to do is start building your composition. So I'm going to switch this up and then do this one about 90 degrees. And then down here, you can also manually type in 90, and then that will give you much more precise rotation. So now I'm just going to move this behind the text, maybe a little bit up. I'm going to move the text maybe a little bit up as well. And then, yeah, so that's starting to look pretty good here. More centered, more about there. So now let's create a material for the text. So we can either do that by double clicking here, or do create load material preset. I'm gonna go for a plastic glossy. Now this is a black, and here you can switch the colors. So thinking more of like a green, maybe even like a yellow-ish green. Look pretty good. And so I'm just gonna drag the material over to the text, and that will switch over. Now I'm gonna make this 6 seconds animation. So if you divide 180 by 180 by 30 is 6. So to start animating, you'll head over to the text, and then from your 0 frame, you'll set a keyframe for the H. So let's set this back to 0 and then set a keyframe, and then we'll go all the way to the last frame, and then we'll do 360 and then set another keyframe, and then that builds out your animation basically with the extrude and the text. If you wanted to, you could add more objects, but this would be the basic of an animation. And then if you save this, control save, you'll see this 3D model pop up in After Effects. So you have your new file here. If you do new composition from selection, you can see this. Currently I have it set to quarter speed, which is gonna save on the preview because it's not rendering the full image. But if you wanted to see the full one, you could just switch this to full. But for the sake of time, let's do quarter. And yeah, so there you have it. There's your animation. Now to export this, again, you'll go composition, add to render queue, and then here you have your settings. I'm going to choose the output to the desktop and do file, 01, 01, 21, and then press render. So it should render pretty quickly. It's like a render break. Yeah, let's get rendering. Alright, so that's done. Can minimize all this, and then here we go, and there we have it. There's our render. Alright, so if you're interested in learning more about motion graphics and Cinema 4D and making things in 3 dimensions, then hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time. Alright.